Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Problem Solved. You're looking at a water dispenser actuator pad for my Maytag fridge. My son was getting water out of the fridge the other night and pulled away the container, and the water kept dispensing out. I had to actually pull the plug on the fridge to get it to stop. It was locked. You're looking at the original was the one on the right. On the left side here is a replacement I actually found on eBay used, and that's a whole nother story. You're going to see that the part numbers are different, but they basically are interchangeable. I did research online and found that my fridge is so old they hardly make the part anymore. You could find it for over $100 new if it's in stock somewhere. But as you could see, I found this one, which is similar, almost exactly the same, but it doesn't have water written on the front. It's a little different color, but the functionality and the wires were the same. I actually had the brilliant idea of deciding to go to my local big box store where I purchased the fridge originally. I figured if they still had a model similar, I could look and see. If the actuators look the same, physically look the same, I thought to myself, perhaps a newer model with the same type of actuator pad would be more easily found and maybe even cheaper. I did successfully find some refrigerators that were the same. They looked the same, had the same actuator, and I was able to find them online. I did already find the one on eBay used, so I saved a lot of money that way and took a little bit of a chance. So I actually removed the water actuator pad so that I could still use the fridge. The ice maker continued to work. So we used it like this for a little over a week until I was able to get the used part. So you always want to remove the power before working on an electrical appliance, anything electrical. This tray is the tray that holds the water or ice when it drops, if it misses the cup. So that tray, actually, you pull it to a certain point about an inch or so out, and then if you feel underneath on the inside is kind of like a lip that grabs. You could see it there, those two little tabs. You kind of got to just lift the back of that tray up and over them as you're pulling it out. You want to use a nut driver here. You could use a socket that fits, but if you have a nut driver or the back of a screwdriver that has the interchangeable tips, sometimes those fit perfectly. So you want to remove these two bolts, and once you remove those, this bottom piece simply lifts out. You slide it out towards you. Now we're looking at the bottom of the dispenser. That's the water side, that's the ice side. I'm showing you there's some tabs on the control panel. There's one on the left side and there's one in the middle. You kind of pull down on that and release it. Do the same for the middle and the same for the right. So you kind of pulling it down and out. You can see it very clearly there how it just clips on. And once you get them all unclipped, you could apply some pressure and pull out the bottom of it, and then the top should release as well. You can see how the top just sort of sits in place, and that will expose all of the wires. Again, you should make sure you've already disconnected the electrical power. The left side has the ice dispenser actuator pad. The right side will have the water. That silver back piece has got to come out in order to route the wiring. So I'm trying to show you here how the wire goes. Always take a video before you remove stuff. This way you know exactly how it goes back. You can see the wire is just kind of routed over a hook. Obviously it's not there on the right side because I already removed the actuator. I'm showing you the left side, the ice maker actuator. just simply plugs in. Both of the plugs are the same. The plug just simply plugs into the control panel. I didn't disconnect everything. I opted to leave the control panel in place, and obviously I already removed the actuator and the wiring, but this is a close-up. You could see what the plug looks like and the orientation of it. It can only go in one way without forcing it, I guess. So as long as you line up the design of the plug so that it matches the hole that it's supposed to go into, you shouldn't have any problems. So I got my used actuator pad there, but it's the replacement that I used. I plugged it into the control panel, and wouldn't probably recommend it, but I did plug it in at this point. Mounted it into its position, make sure the mounts lined up and everything, and then I plugged in the fridge to test it before I button everything up the proper way and make sure that this used part was working, and as you can see, works great. So now at this point I was convinced that the part fits. Everything works as expected, and I'm confident that I can put everything together in the proper fashion and not have another problem with this, hopefully anytime soon. So I just wanted to double check also that the ice maker still worked as expected, which it did. And that's about that. That proved out that we should be good to install it and button everything up the way it's supposed to be. So first thing I did, the test was obviously just a test, so the wiring wasn't going to stay the way it was. Disconnect the actuator from the control panel, and we're going to need to remove a couple of other items. Keep an eye on these, the water supply line and this electrical wire, the way that they're routed. You want to just obviously make a video or take a picture of that. You just simply have to remove the electrical wire from that tab that holds it, and you lift the water supply hose out of the way so that you can get to these two bolts here. And they're also same size as the nut driver. And once you remove these two bolts, that will allow the dispensing mechanisms to be pulled forward and out of the way, because you're going to need them out of the way in order to get the grayish back piece where the actual actuator mounts. You need to kind of remove that piece so that you can route the wires properly. So you're just basically getting anything that's mounted and in the way that would prevent you from removing the dispensing mechanism out of the way. Now these have tabs as well. There's one on each side, and you could simply hit. This is a very clear shot. You pull out on the tab a little bit and then slide it towards you, back towards you. You're pulling it out. Pull both sides out a little bit. So you do want to pull this all the way out towards you, and as you can see, you got to clear those electrical wires and the water supply hose. The next thing you're going to need to do in order to snake the wires and route them properly is remove that gray piece here. This is like the back plate piece. It sort of clips in, and it kind of has some force towards you that keeps it in. Because of the shape of it, circular shape, there's like tension on it. You're basically pulling it away, and sort of pushing in towards the fridge in order to get that to release. It doesn't require much force. It's pretty simple once you're actually looking at it, as long as you see how it is designed to stay in place. And that will expose where the wire needs to route. We'll pick that up in part 2.